Hi everyone, it's Jordan again. Welcome back to AfroLivity. Before I start today, I just want to give a massive thank you to everybody who's been supporting by liking, sharing, commenting, doing whatever you can for these early days. It's wonderful, it really does mean a lot, and I want to extend my gratitude, sincerely, it means a lot to me. Anyway, on to what we're going to talk about today. It's why I changed my diet from an omnivore to 100% plant-based. Firstly, it was really just it started off as a little challenge. It was about this time last year I made the choice to start going back to the gym and getting back into sport. You know, I've always loved athletics, swimming, all of that, but I had been slacking for years. I hadn't done it in a long time, so I made the choice to get back into it. Just, you know, I missed that active side of my life. So after about 3 months of that, so I'd say January, that was when I started to think about my diet and how that was playing into my everyday life. How that played into not just what I was doing in an exercise, from the point of view of my exercise, but also from an everyday perspective. And I've seen these sort of plant-based athletes and my friends who are also vegans, not necessarily into sport, but had that influence around me. I started to think, maybe I want to try this. I want to see what it's like, because often you hear from people who are in spheres of sport or athletes, oh well, you gotta eat meat, you gotta eat fish, you gotta drink milk, you gotta have cheese for your gains, bro. This is what you hear so often, but I decided I was going to challenge myself, and the reason I was convinced that it would work was I saw this quote once, which I think went along the lines of, animals such as rhinos are among the strongest species on our planet, yet their diet is totally plant-based. And I was like, rah, okay. So I mean, you know, I'm not a rhino, but if being on a plant-based diet is good enough for an animal that size, with that much power, then for me, you know, common human, surely that can be good enough, right? So I thought, let me embark on this journey, and immediately I started to notice I was feeling a lot less sore after the gym. My body recovered incredibly fast. I could work out intensely for days consecutively. I wouldn't have to worry about my muscles giving me problems, which often was the case when I used an omnivore. I would be able to train heavy for a few days in a row in a week, but then I'd have to have a rest day because I couldn't push myself to that extra level during the week. And then sort of gym stuff aside, on my everyday kind of aspect, I enjoyed the fact that I was just able to eat my food and it would just digest like a dream. I wouldn't have to worry about being like, okay, I've eaten now and I've got to think about it just sitting in my stomach for hours before I can then eat again, because that was often a thing that I felt when I was an omnivore. You eat a meal with loads of meat and whatever, and you'd feel it just in your stomach, just there, digesting and taking ages. And it just felt a lot more natural and a lot easier to digest. So I really loved that. I also slept better, a lot more energy. I didn't feel tired during the day. A lot of times beforehand, I would often be working at my desk and then I'd start to feel drowsy and I wouldn't be able to focus as well. But all of that was sort of in the past. Once I changed my diet, I could focus and stay energized on my work or whatever it was I chose to do for a far longer period. So, you know, there were all these sort of things that started to pop up and occur to me and made me think, maybe I should stick with this. And then, aside from what I noticed initially, then once you're in that sphere and you're starting to read about what it means to be on a plant-based diet, you start to become aware of other things and other impacts that your diet may have, whether it be to yourself or to the wider world. So I started to become a lot more aware of what it was that I chose to put into my body. I started to, back in the day when I went to the shop to buy food at uni, it was, have I got staple food, i.e. rice or maybe potatoes or pasta or some sort of starchy root vegetable like yam or sweet potato, whatever. Have I got that? Yes. Have I got some plantain? Yes. Have I got seasoning? Yes, of course. Have I got chicken? Yes. Or have I got fish? Yes. That was it. It was just, have I got something to add some stodge to the meal, i.e. the starchy foods, and have I got meat? That was it. I didn't think necessarily too much about the importance of having a lot of vegetables and fruit in your daily diet. That's not to say I didn't eat vegetables or fruit at all, but when I think back to how much of it I actually did eat, I was very, compared to what I eat now, I was kind of like, ooh. Well, if you knew how many vitamins you were missing out on your previous diet, you'd have been horrified. So that's basically what was in my head. I was like, well, there's so many things that you just don't necessarily get in your diet if you're just sticking to standard, I don't know, chicken and rice for dinner. You're missing out on so much. And being on a plant-based diet, you start to think about what you're eating more. For most people, you're learning about these dishes for the first time. The food I buy now is done to benefit my body at the best. So I will buy my food knowing what's in it. And I didn't have that appreciation before. I feel that when a lot of people change their diets, that's when they start to think more interrogatively about what they're doing. And I think that's a wonderful train of thought to have, because meat eaters assume that they're getting everything and they're really not. But once you make that choice to go to a plant-based diet, then you just become more aware of food and nutrition in general. And it just helps you understand how your body works anyway. I now know which food sources I consume are necessary for my protein. I know what I consume that gives me the most vitamin E. I know where I'm getting my iron, my magnesium, my potassium, all of it. And before anyone says anything about vitamin B12, there's chlorella, there are vegan B12 supplements, and there's nutritional yeast. So we are sorted on that front. Yeah, so there's all these things that I didn't know about and I didn't appreciate until I changed my diet. And also, after the first few weeks of the diet and just trying it out for the first time, one thing I noticed was that all the things that I was expecting, or not necessarily expecting, or things I was worried about, suddenly becoming anemic, becoming ill all the time, or weak, emaciated, I thought that was what was part and parcel of being on a plant-based diet. That's what we're fed from meat and dairy industries. That's what we're told. And once I changed it and I saw that in fact the opposite was happening, I was getting stronger. I felt a lot more active, less tiredness, just all these sort of things, these everyday problems that a lot of people take for granted. I wasn't catching colds or anything. So all these sort of things are starting to happen, and it made me think, well, for a diet that's supposed to be so bad for you, but well, according to the big business, it's not supposed to be the ideal diet. To me, I was seeing the complete opposite in my life. All the stuff that you would consider to be problems for everyday people, I just wasn't having anymore. So I thought, okay, well, you may claim that this is what you get from being on a omnivorous diet, skewed towards like meat, dairy, and whatever, is going to keep you healthy. Once I realized that that wasn't the case, it sort of made me more convinced to stay with the plant-based diet, because one thing I don't like is being misled or lied to, and the meat and dairy industries are notorious for their misinformation, well, not necessarily misinformation, but misleading people and telling people, oh yeah, sure, our food may have protein, it may have calcium, it may have all of these things, but all of the negative side effects are completely glossed over, and these foods are marketed as what we as human beings should be consuming on a regular basis to stay healthy. And I just felt that it was, once I saw that that was complete nonsense, I was like, well, why on earth would I then want to go back, give up this diet and start supporting and giving my money to these industries who are clearly lying to us? To me, it just didn't feel right to continue giving my money to people like that. So on top of all the other benefits, it was just like, for me, it was like a little victory to be like, hey, well, I'm not going to continue being fooled by your lies and propaganda. So that was essentially like the final sort of point that made me feel like, you know what, I've got to stay with this diet. So yeah, that was just a quick chat about why I changed, what I noticed, and why I'm still on it. So So if you like that video, share with your friends, share your testimonies. If you recently changed to being plant-based, whatever, let me know if you like this. Continue watching my videos. I really love doing this, so hopefully we'll continue growing and we'll continue getting better. But that's all for now. Have a lovely weekend and bless up.